My name is Mark Knobloch. I'm the program director for the MAT program. We've got a couple of other faculty in here. If they could just introduce themselves real quick, then we'll get started.
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Lacey Harrison. So I am a clinical associate professor in the MAT program. I'm the clinical coordinator for the first year students, and I also teach the anatomy course as well as our orthopedic courses. And I'm one of the advisors for our athletic training student society.
Hi everyone, my name is Ashlyn Elliott. I'm a clinical assistant professor here within the MAT program. I am also assistant clinical coordination primarily for the second year students, and I also will be helping in advising our ATSA Student Association and also just helping all of our program initiatives as well. So really nice to meet you all.
Okay, we're going to get started. If everybody could, we'd really appreciate if you could turn your cameras on. I know that's kind of not your favorite thing to do, but it helps kind of us connect with you as well. And so I'm going to get our screen shared here. All right, so this is the Master of Athletic Training program. What we're doing here is we're telling you a little bit about the program. We'll talk a little bit about as well about the application process and admissions, things like that. And then we'll turn it over to you for any questions you might have for us. So please come prepared with your questions. So currently we are in our 12th cohort. We're looking for students, hopefully you, to join what will be our 13th cohort that starts in June of 2025. And so that is a hard start. So some people ask us, can I start in the spring or whatever? And this is a cohort program. And so you would be coming in with a group of students. You'll all be taking the same classes, and then you'll be going out to different clinical sites throughout your 6-semester program, which is a 2-year program. So we are accredited. We got initially accredited in 2016. That was a 5-year accreditation. And then they reaccredited us in 2021 for a 10-year accreditation. So we are good through 2031. Every year we do a little annual report, and so far we've been doing great. So we fully expect to remain accredited until that time. So just so everybody's clear, what is an athletic trainer? There's a lot of trainers out there. There's personal trainers, there's animal trainers, there's athletic trainers. And so we are healthcare professionals. We render services under or treatment under the direction of a physician according to what our state practice allows. So essentially, we are healthcare professionals. We've traditionally been associated with care, recognition, prevention of injuries, but we do a lot of other things, administrative, et cetera. But typically, we're generally associated with being medical providers. So very similar to physical therapists, PAs, or physician assistant, even do similar things to what nurses do, physicians at times, but we are definitely healthcare professionals, and we are recognized by the American Medical Association as a healthcare profession. So what do athletic trainers do? These are what we call domains. And so domains kind of provide oversight of what our areas are of athletic training. For example, you won't see on here anywhere that we perform surgery, because that is not something that we do. Our first domain is one that's most associated with athletic trainers, and that is risk reduction. Traditionally, it's been called prevention of injuries. We work with overall health wellness as well as health literacy to help other individuals recognize their own health requirements, and we try and help them meet those to stay healthy. Domain 2 is assessment, evaluation, and diagnosis of injuries. So part of our job is to recognize when something happens, figure out what it is, and then goes into the fourth domain, which is to figure out what to do with that. How do you treat it, rehab it, et cetera. Domain 3 is critical incident management. So that deals with planning for major events and then things that can go wrong at those events, as well as when there is a critical incident that happens at your site. This could be a broken bone, spinal cord injury, concussion, et cetera. how do we deal with those traditionally emergency situations? And then our last one, healthcare administration and professional responsibility, goes into things like how to run an athletic training program, how to organize a budget, how does insurance work when you have athletes or patients that need to file insurance? How do we deal with that? And then professional responsibility goes into things like medical ethics, practice ethics, continuing education. So you've become certified as an athletic trainer. How do you stay certified? How do you stay current and able to provide best practices for your patients? All right, so if you're interested in athletic training, this is a pretty exciting time to be an athletic trainer, or at least to be interested in it, because the job growth is expected to increase tremendously. So over the next now 8 years, we're still expected to grow 14%. That's much faster than the average for all occupations in general. And so the demand for athletic trainers is expected to increase. People are becoming more aware of their own health. They're becoming aware of how injuries can affect them. And I put this picture of the football player here, Damar Hamlin. It's an unfortunate incident, but it was a great opportunity to show the importance of athletic trainers, as Damar Hamlin went down on national TV with a cardiac incident that basically caused him to die on the field. Athletic trainers were able to revive him as part of the healthcare team, get him to the hospital, allow him to make a full recovery, and now he's playing in the NFL again. So it was a great time to recognize the importance of what we do. And as that occurs, more jobs become open because people recognize the value of athletic trainers. And so you're getting into this at a very important time, and we want to help give you that opportunity to make that happen. So some employment settings. Traditionally, it's always been thought that athletic trainers worked in professional sports, college sports, and high school sports. And that is still high school sports and college sports are probably our two biggest healthcare providers, along with a lot of individuals at the professional sports level. But there's been a lot of growth in our profession that has allowed more settings and more job opportunities to come open. Hospital clinics, rehab clinics, hospital ERs, on-site at major employers like Cessna or Boeing, United Airlines athletic training, Amazon is hiring athletic training, military is hiring. As military recruits, police recruits go through their training, they get injured. Those organizations have seen the value of having an athletic trainer right there to help get those athletes back. And that is actually a very big investment for them, because if recruits or cadets go through all this training, they get hurt and stop, it actually is a loss of a return of their investment that they spent all this time getting ready for. So having somebody there to intervene and keep these athletes performing and go through the training is tremendously valuable for them. You can work in a physician's office. You can actually do diagnoses, receive or have your own billing code, make money for a physician that employs you, and they can see the value of having you in their clinic. And then dance and fine arts has become kind of a growing or expanding area. You see more of that because dancers get hurt. And so having somebody with the company that's there providing on-site care is tremendously beneficial for them as well. So definitely a lot of employment settings. This kind of allows you to choose what kind of environment you want to be in. Do you want the hectic, ongoing, always busy pace of college athletics, or do you want the more quiet, more set hours of a physician's office? So been some great growth in that area. All right, a little bit about our program. A lot of questions are, what's the normal size? What kind of GPA do I need? And so we want to answer those. And if you have any more questions on this, please be sure and ask them. The average applicant GPA as of 2022 was 3.25. So we're not looking for you to have a 3.8 to get in. We're looking for individuals who want to be athletic trainers. And we understand that, including myself, college was a lot of prerequisites and core classes, and I had to take history and literature, and I didn't do well in those. And so we're not looking for individuals who get an A in every class. What we do find to be a strong candidate is somebody who's very good or very interested in the field of anatomy. So biology is great, but having an understanding of anatomy, the muscles, the nerves, et cetera, is a vital component of what we do. And so being strong in those classes and maybe less strong in your history and your math, fully acceptable. We look at your transcript, we look at your courses, what those you did well in, those you didn't do so well in, and not doing as well in non medical related courses is fully acceptable. So again, average GPA is 3.25. So we'll talk a little bit more about the GPA and other requirements in a minute, but it's not something where you have to get A's in every class to be considered for this program by any means. All right, first time pass rate. So this was traditionally judged as, or listed as, a critique of a program. So how well do they put students out that pass their boards? And I think it was a very good indicator of a program, because you don't want to go somewhere and they don't get you ready to take your boards. Because if you graduate from an athletic training program and you're not an athletic trainer, that's the same as graduating from med school and not being a doctor. It's kind of like, well, what happened? Why did you not, go into the field? So our first time pass rate through 2022 has been about 90%. We did have a big drop in 2023, and there's several reasons for that. One of which is our program director passed away very unexpectedly, and that affected some students very harshly, and they told us that it was very difficult to study. And so we had a very low 7 out of 15 passed their first time. They did go on later and pass. So our percentage has gone down overall. We got it back up last year. So on the CATIE website, CATIE's our accrediting body, our overall pass rate is currently of the last 3 years is like 70%, but it's because we had one really bad year. Overall, we have a 98%. It's now 98% overall pass rate of those that have taken the boards at some point and passed. We have a couple people, the reason it's 98 is because a couple people just in our last group did not pass, and they have not taken it again to get that up to a full 100%. One of the things we're very proud of is our employment rate in the field of choice after graduation. So some programs will say, what percent of your graduates are athletic trainers? And not all of our athletic trainers not all of our graduates become athletic trainers. We have several that go on to other professional schools. We've got a couple students currently in PT school. One's finishing up med school. We have several that go on for their doctorate and are not working as an athletic trainer, but they're still in the field of choice. So 99%, and there was, I think, 2 that responded they're not currently working, and that's why it's not 100%. But we do feel we get you ready to be in the career that you want to be in. And so another question we get is, how many students do you take? Well, we've opened it up a little bit. The average cohort size of our program through 2024 is 13, but that's because we had a couple of very small cohorts in the COVID years. And so we'd like to bring in 20 students, and our intent is to graduate 20 students. If we bring you in, we want you here, we want you to graduate, but that doesn't always happen. You may find that financially it's difficult, or you just don't feel this is what you want to do after all. Students leave. And so right now we have 15 students in each cohort, and that's where we've traditionally kind of aimed for, 15 to 17. We want to up that to about 20 because we feel we have enough clinical sites to provide you a good education for that with that many students. And so we're looking to bring in about 20 students for the 2025 semester cohort. All right, some more about our program. We are historically a female-dominated program. We've had 2 cohorts now that we had all females and 1 male. And so we encourage that. That's pretty common amongst most healthcare professions. And so it's kind of fun to watch that grow. Ethnicity-wise, we consider ourselves a very diverse program. You can see that if you add all minorities together, we are what's called a majority-minority program. So we like to think that we fit you in here no matter what your ethnicity is. We're going to find you a spot. We're going to help you get through the program and make you a successful athletic trainer. So we are very proud of that as well. All right, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Harrison. She'll talk a little bit about our clinical sites. So Dr. Harrison, it's all yours.
Great, thank you. Yeah, I'm going to talk about our clinical sites and our clinical site assignment, because a lot of programs are very different in how they assign you to a clinical site. So if you've been doing research on athletic training schools, you probably know that you do spend some time in the classroom. So in our program specifically, you spend 2 days a week in the classroom, and then the rest of that time is spent at your clinical sites. You're doing up to 40 hours per week at your clinical site. So you're learning hands-on with program preceptors. So those are athletic trainers that we work with, physicians, physical therapists, lots of different partners that we have. So the way that we set that up, as I mentioned, I am the first year clinical coordinator. So during your first year, I make sure that you get all the requirements that you need through our accrediting body. So your first summer, you're going to be assigned to sports either at UH or at Rice. So we like to keep you close to campus that first summer. You'll do 2 different kind of mini placements where you'll spend 3 to 4 weeks with one sport or a group of sports, and then you'll rotate to another for another 3 to 4 weeks. And then at the end of the first summer, so between your summer semester and your first fall semester, every first year student will be at football camp at either UH or Rice. So right off the bat, you're getting Division I football experience for football camp, which is just a crazy experience that you get that as soon as you get here. Once fall starts, during the fall semester, you'll have 2 8-week placements, and then the same thing happens in the spring. So during those 4 8-week placements during the academic year, I have to make sure that you see some pediatric patients, which means everyone is placed at a local high school. So you can see some of our high schools on here if you're familiar with the area. We have Dawson High School, Pearland High School, and Pasadena High School. I also make sure that you get experience with both men's and women's sports. So you've already gained experience with football. You may be with high school football, or you may end up back at Rice or UH. But we have many other sports, including even during the off season, baseball and softball, but the sports that are in season. We have soccer and volleyball, cross country, track and field, basketballs are getting started right now. So you'll rotate through that first academic year. You'll do 4 different sites, 4 different preceptors, 4 different sports, and then you'll end up moving on to Dr. Elliott. And when Dr. Elliott has you for your second summer, that's when you're going to be seeing a different patient population. You're going to be seeing some maybe non-sport, as well as those that are a little further on in the lifespan. You'll be working with our partners that are physicians throughout the Houston community. So you'll be in physicians' offices. We also have a rehab specific placement where you're at you may be at UH Clear Lake in a lab that works with individuals that have neurological disorders. Some of them are domestic violence survivors, and you work with an athletic trainer there that works with that population. The reason I'm telling you all this is because we make you go through all of that. We check all the boxes. You have all these experiences. And then for your last academic year, that last fall and spring, you actually get to rank clinical sites based on what your career goals are. So maybe you know that you want to work collegiate basketball, and we have multiple sites for that, right? We have UH and Rice as well, University of St. Thomas. We have some of the professional sites listed on here as well. So maybe you want to be in the NFL. So you rank the Texans at the top. From there, we go through and we try to place you at one of your top 3 or 4 sites, and you are at that site for the full academic year. That means on your resume, when you start applying for jobs, you can say, you know what, I want to be a secondary school athletic trainer, and I was at Dawson High School for a full academic year. I know everything there is to know. I know the administration rules. I know the coaches. I know all the regulations, and you can really talk about that on an interview. The other thing that's unique about our program is if you're researching other schools, you probably know that there's an immersive clinical experience, which means you spend a minimum of 4 weeks where you're not in class, you are just at your clinical experience. Some programs give you the freedom to go out and find your own place, which is great. The problem is you may be leaving and you have to get short-term housing. You have to find a way to where to stay for a few weeks. What we do is we keep you at that year-long academic site, right? So you're here in Houston. We have so many opportunities for you that you don't have to worry about finding your own place. You don't have to worry about finding your own preceptor, finding a place to live. You're going to stay here, and you get to be at that place for 4 weeks with no class. And again, you're there the full academic year. So make sure when you're looking at other schools that you're asking about the clinical experiences. Do you have to find your own sites? Do you have to create your own experiences? Or is that something that's curated for you? And now that we talked about that, I just want to highlight some of our major sites. I talked about the high schools. We have two major universities, UH and Rice, and we also have the University of St. Thomas, which gets really high rankings with our students. The students love to be there. We have a great staff. We also have some professional sports on here. So you see the Texans as well as the Dynamo, and the Dynamo includes the Dash and the Dynamo Academy. So you may be working with pediatric population if you want to do that. We also have an agreement with the Houston Ballet. So they occasionally take students as well if you're interested in performing arts. And then you'll notice some of the other categories here that we have off at the side. So there are some things that we have MOUs with, so they're not like full clinical experiences, but they're just additional experiences that we have. One of those is the Houston Marathon. So I'm on the medical committee for the Houston Marathon, and I lead the bike medic team. So we have an opportunity to be a bike medic for the Houston Marathon. We also work with the Ironman. So there's an Ironman, a half Ironman in Galveston, as well as the full Ironman North American Championships in the Woodlands. And then we also provide opportunities to do things like go to conferences. So the majority of the program actually half of them went to the National Athletic Trainer Association annual meeting, which was in New Orleans, and half of them went to Arkansas to our regional meeting, which is the Southwest Athletic Trainers Association. We also have a few other events in here. We have a local Houston area, that's the GHAT Sports Medicine organization that you can be a part of. So we provide you with multiple experiences to really grow your resume to make you stand out after graduation compared to other students graduating from other CADI accredited programs. Anything you would like to add, Dr. Knobloch or Dr. Elliott?
No, I think that's great. I do, like you mentioned, being in Houston, we're very proud of our clinical opportunities. There are schools where you have three options. You work with our school, the local doctor's office, or a high school. And so we have several of each one, which is really exciting. And because we're in Houston, we get the opportunity to work with these major events, the marathon, Ironmans as well. And then we have some partnerships with local associations and things. And so it's an amazing opportunity for you to get some leadership opportunities, get some extra volunteer opportunities, but it does add to your workload because you have already got your clinicals. But what's going to separate you is you also have experience with Ironman. Oh, you were a liaison to the Greater Houston Athletic Trainers Society. So we're looking for students that want to be, involved and separate themselves rather than those that just kind of go through the steps, because everybody's going through the steps. But when this great job comes open, and you're going to apply for it, you're going to going up against people that maybe just went through the steps and you really took these other opportunities, or maybe you're the one that just went through the steps and three of your classmates are the ones that got all this extra experience and now their resume's longer and it looks, they're more promising for those individuals. So our goal is to provide you opportunities. We can't make you do them. But that's something like I said, we're very proud of it. And so when you're looking at other schools, just like Dr. Harrison said, ask them about their clinicals because we set this up to make you successful as well. So, all right. So here's some of the information for you as an applicant. One of the things that's very exciting is if you are a UH student, no GRE is required if your overall total cumulative GPA is above 3.0. So that's a very big selling point to a lot of students. We've learned that, and we're very excited to offer that. So one of the other things you have to have is 50 hours of observation. And we want to be very clear on this. When you're getting these hours of observation, they have to be under an athletic trainer who is both board certified and licensed in their state. So it can be done in any state you want. It doesn't have to be here at Houston or here in Texas, but they have to be what's called LAT, ATC in their credentials. So make sure that that you are getting that, because what we have had to do at least once, I can't remember if it's more than once, we had a student submit their application. They're a great student, but they only got their hours under an LAT. So we told them you have to go back and get another 50 hours, and we don't want that. So it's not just a matter of asking them if they're an athletic trainer. You have to ask them, are you ATC and LAT, or are you board certified and licensed? Be very clear on that. So that is something we want to make sure you kind of know what you're getting into. That's why we require the observation so that you don't get here and say, oh, this isn't what I thought it was. So the 50 hours is a lot, but again, it's designed to help you understand what you're getting into. But hopefully what we get out of that is you're more excited to start once you've seen that, because you get to do all those things. So with the application process, there are two applications. One is the ATCAS, or sorry, I'll go in the order here. ApplyWeb. So ApplyWeb is the university's application system. And so the reason we have two applications, one is ATCAS, which you fill out ATCAS and you just kind of click that you want it to go to University of Houston. But we also require University of Houston application because we want to make sure that if we do accept you, you can get into the university. So you're actually going to be admitted to the university as part of your admissions. And so there is a little bit of costs involved with that. And we understand that, but we want to make sure you're eligible to be in the program. And so we require those two separate applications. So Dr. Harrison, did you want to add anything, or Rachel, if you want to add anything, please let me know.
I know that there is a possibility for a waiver of the fee through ATCAS, and we have that link posted on our website, so you can explore that. But I defer to Rachel for all these questions, so I'll let her chime in.
Yeah, so I'm the graduate advisor. I also help with admissions. But if you are a domestic applicant, so a U.S. citizen, you can get an application fee waiver for the ApplyWeb application by attending one of the University of Houston Graduate School virtual information sessions. They post all that information on the UH Graduate School website. I don't have a way for international applicants to get that fee waiver, but for domestic applicants, you can have the ApplyWeb application fee waived by attending that.
And Rachel, I said no GRE required if they're undergrad at UH. That's any applicant, is that correct?
Any applicant whose cumulative undergraduate GPA is 3.0 or higher, GRE is waived. ATCAS will calculate your cumulative undergraduate GPA as part of the verification process once after you've submitted all of your official transcripts to ATCAS, and that's the GPA that we're looking at.
Okay, thank you, Rachel. All right, so prerequisites. All right, these top ones under the red bullet are what is required by our accrediting association. So these are courses you must have taken to some degree. You don't have to have necessarily general biology. In cases where you have a class that you think meets these prerequisites, please email us. And what we're going to ask for is a syllabus and or a course description, because there are plenty of times so for example, with exercise physiology, they may not have taken specifically an exercise physiology, but they may have taken exercise science for health or for nursing or something like that. And we'll look at that. But those are required courses. We have to show that all of our incoming students have taken these courses. Physics is take whatever physics is out there. Chemistry, take whatever chemistry is out there. If you've taken a chemistry for health majors, we would look at that. And because in my opinion, as program director, chemistry is not a major component of our program, I'm probably going to give you a waiver for that because of what you've taken. But there are, we do have to show, you have to have a nutrition course, a statistics course. And so something else about this is, let's say you're a graduating senior in May and you don't have physics and you don't have motor learning yet. You are more than welcome to enroll in those courses for the spring semester, finish those courses. And if during that spring semester you apply and get accepted, as long as you get passing grades in those courses, that's absolutely fine. You would still be accepted in our program. So you might be short one or two of these courses and say, oh my gosh, I'm graduating and I won't be, I don't have this course. How do I get in? If you show on your transcript that you are currently enrolled, and then you go ahead and fill out your application and we interview you and we say, Angelia, we're accepting you in our program. Congratulations. That acceptance is dependent upon you getting a passing grade in these prerequisite courses. So that's for those that are graduating in, either December or in May of 2025 and want to be in our summer 2025 cohort. So you don't have to have these completed before you've applied. You just have, the caveat is, if you don't have them completed and you enroll them in the spring, you still have to pass those classes. And there's going to be a pretty quick turnaround for you because we have to get your transcript that shows your passing grade in those before you officially can start in the summer. So don't let that be a deterrent, but understand, you may get offered a spot. It's contingent upon you finishing those courses, correct, with a passing grade. All right, expected cost. This is from the university. This is nothing that specific to our program. It's just something that we want to show you, or we try and make it as transparent as possible. Now, what's exciting is this is total cost of the program. This isn't per year. So total cost for an out-of-state student is close to $60,000. I think it actually, tuition went down a little bit, like maybe $100. And total cost for a Texas resident for 2 years of our program, with the tuition and fees, I should say, is about $30,000. So it's a pretty good investment in our opinion. And if you fill out the FAFSA form, there is a scholarship that students are eligible for. All students, not just something you have to apply for. Just filling out your FAFSA form makes you eligible for what's called the Graduate Student Fund or Graduate School Fund. And most of our students get this, and it's a $5,000 per year scholarship. So definitely get that FAFSA form filled out, apply for any scholarships you can, and then reduce that cost. All right, these are some of our graduates of our program. We love to see people employed in their field of choice, regardless of where that is. So we have students that one of them is currently working with the University of Florida football team. We have on the bottom, that's Matt Barnes. He's one of our first cohort graduates. He's now an assistant athletic trainer with the Detroit Lions of the NFL. In the middle, we have Nicole Kasha. Now it's Dr. Lemaster. She's a researcher. Now she went off to another state, got her doctorate, and is now back in Houston doing research. And then on the right, one of our, I think, third or fourth cohort graduates is Jonathan Tran. He's an assistant with University of Texas football. And so he started with track and field there, moved over to football, and I see him on TV all the time. So what we want out of this is to have you being on there where employed where you want to be. That could be a high school, that could be a doctor's office, that could be in education, that could be in physical therapy. I don't care where you want to go. I just want to use this program to help you get there. So something to think about is, what is your career goal? What kind of athletic trainer do you want to be, or do you want to use this to help you move on to another career? All right. One thing I think I forgot to mention is, and I don't remember if I went over it or if I didn't include it in the slideshow, but we are on what's called a rolling admission program. And so what that means is we evaluate applications as they come in. And then we, as a program, will look at that evaluation. If we want to have an interview with you, we will schedule an interview, and then we would offer you a spot in our program. We do not wait until a certain day. Like, I think our applications close January 15th. We don't wait until the January 15th and then start interviewing you. As we get completed applications, we will set up meetings, usually do a virtual interview with you. And then if it's a good fit for you and a good fit for us, we'll turn around and within a couple of days, we'll have offered you a spot in our program. Once we fill up, we are full. So there's a possibility that we fill up before our application site closes, and then we'll put people on the wait list. So if you're interested, I strongly encourage you to get that application filled. It's pretty lengthy. It's not, fill out one page and you're done. It's you're applying to the school. We'll then, as a program, look at your ATCAS application, your letters of recommendation, look at your transcript, and we really focus on grades in our medically related courses. Anatomy grades should be strong. Exercise physiology should be strong. Like I said before, I'm not as concerned that you got a C in chemistry as I would be that you got a C in A&P 1 and A&P 2. But we do the rolling admissions. So as we get those applications in, we will start interviewing and even making offers as well. So, Dr. Harrison, you want to talk about the powerhouse part?
Sure, absolutely. As I mentioned, I'm sure you're looking at other schools. It's really important to consider what the university can provide for you. So the University of Houston is a Tier 1 university. That means there is very high-level research, very impactful research happening here. You do not have to do research while you're here. This is a clinical program, but what that means for you is you are surrounded by so many resources and high-level faculty. All three of us have PhDs. So doctorate level faculty providing you instruction. As Dr. Knobloch mentioned with our clinical sites, Houston just has so much to offer. So we are in the world's largest medical center. That means that you are not only working with the best athletic trainers, but the best physicians in the world. So a really great opportunity for networking as well as education. We do have world-class facilities here. If you've been on campus recently, there are tons of updates that are happening right now. We actually moved across campus closer to athletics, and some of the classrooms that we get to use just have the best technology in them. They are completely refurbished and beautiful. With that, we have access to a brand new simulation lab. Within that lab, that's where we do our orthopedic labs. We have treatment tables in there, but there are also 2 high-fidelity mannequins, as well as a brand new anatomage table. And if you're not familiar with that, the anatomage table is basically, it looks like a giant computer screen, but it's the size of a body, and there are virtual cadavers on there, as well as you can look at imaging, you can look at all anatomy, you can do assignments on there. It's just really great technology that we're extremely lucky to have. We also have a fairly new medical school here at the University of Houston. They also have a beautiful building that they allow us to use occasionally. So we go over once a semester for my classes, and we go in the gross anatomy lab. And the anatomists in that lab, some of them actually have orthopedic backgrounds. One of them was a physical therapist, so they're able to take us through the structures that we talked about in class and really show us what that looks like and do a deeper dive. We also do labs in their facilities, so we can go and do suturing and IV therapy and really utilize their faculty, their students, and their facilities. And if you don't know, we do have highly competitive Division I athletics. If you follow men's basketball, our men's basketball team is very good, but if you were just following in the Olympics, we had multiple people that were track and field athletes here at the University of Houston that performed very well at the Olympics. So lots of great opportunities here, and then the website is linked for you to continue to explore the university. I would encourage that you do a tour of the university. Sometimes students reach out to us and they want to do a tour of our facilities, and we're happy to try to meet up with you if you're on campus, but we're showing you a classroom in our sim lab. If you do the full tour, you can see everything that's available to you. So I suggest doing that and then reaching out with us, and we'll try to connect with you while you're here. Next slide, Dr. Knobloch, thanks. On top of just looking at the university that you're selecting, I think that the area is really important. It's where you're going to be spending the next 2 years of your lives, and we want you to have a social life, not just be completely embedded in school. So I always like to highlight the stuff around the university. So obviously Houston is a large city, 4th largest city in the country, but maybe city life is not for you. The areas around it are beautiful as well. So I have a picture here of Galveston, so that's the one on the bottom right. So from the university, depending on traffic, that would be about a 45-minute drive to the coast, to the beach, right? And then if you stop halfway, the picture on the bottom left is the Kemah area. So that's, kind of in between the city and Galveston. And we just also have a beautiful campus. As I mentioned, there's a lot of new construction that's happening. There's beautiful green spaces that are available as well. So whatever you're into, whether that's city life or being out in nature, you can find those areas. Next, this is contact information. I always like to chat a little bit about the Twitter and the Instagram. So the Instagram is definitely more active. Why I like to talk about it is those are student-led accounts. That is our Athletic Training Student Society that's posting on that Instagram. So if obviously you're listening to what we have to say and we can only tell you so much, if you want to know what it's really like to be a student, follow that Instagram page. They do a great job. They do like a day in the life. They post birthday updates. They post pictures of what they're doing. Also, if anyone is interested in being in contact with a student, we have students that are interested in talking to those interested in our program. So reach out and I can connect you with someone. Also, all of our emails are there, as well as Rachel's for all of those application questions. And then not to call out Dr. Elliott, but she is not only one of our faculty members, but a former graduate. So Dr. Elliott, if you have anything that you would want to add, I'm sure they would love to hear that.
Sure. Obviously, I think this is a great program, or I wouldn't be back. I've had the great opportunity of working at 2 other really outstanding athletic training programs in the Texas area. But it was not an opportunity I could turn down to be able to have the opportunity to come back and contribute to the program that helped build me. One of the reasons I chose this program was just the amount of opportunities available here. As you saw on our clinical education slide, the number of opportunities and resources available to you as students is outstanding. One of the great things I loved was the networking opportunities that I had as a student, not only at being at these clinical sites and wanting to hopefully work in the Houston area at the time when I thought I wanted to work clinically. That was just a really great opportunity. There's a lot of job opportunities in this area. So for students to be so plugged in with clinical sites that they could potentially have as future employers is huge. I have a lot of friends that graduated from this program that still live in the Houston area, work in the Houston area, and I think they can attribute that to their time in this program. There's just so many opportunities too in terms of the relationships that this program has in terms of with local marathons, the Ironman. There's just a lot of different community outreach that's going on in this program that I think is also really huge for students to put on their resume that helps them stand out from other programs. If y'all have any specific questions for me as an alumni, I'm happy to answer them, but I just think there's a lot of opportunity, particularly not only, yes, the affiliations, but being here in Houston, right next door to the largest medical center in the world is another area of why we get those great opportunities. So yes, it's a great area to live, work, and study, but you also have a lot at your resource here as wanting to be a future clinician. So yeah.
Thanks, Dr. Elliott. And then any conclusions from Dr. Knobloch and then questions?
Yeah, that's it. So I actually am going to turn it over to all of our guests and allow you to ask us any questions you might have.